Well, hi, everybody. We got another fun. This is a unique episode of Fun Football Podcast. Very, very, very excited. We are going to do the top 10 players of the 1990s. And this is going to be great because I don't know how many Chicago Bears are going to be on this list because we're picking a decade where the Bears weren't that great. So this is going to be wonderful. I'm going to enjoy the heck out of this. This is going to be great, not only for me, but I got two esteemed, amazing. I got my co-host, Med. Awesome guy. He's gonna have a blast. No Bears. Some Packers might make the list.
None.
Brett Favre doesn't. I want to see Brett Favre not make your list. We've also got Mike Essen. This is going to be a great show. But before we get going, please make sure to subscribe to Fun Football Podcast. And we're going to talk about Mike's show right now. Mike, can you just introduce yourself again to everybody?
Hi, my name is Mike Essen. I'm a very strong sports historian and movie buff and someone who's been in media for over 20 years. And I'm excited about the show today. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely, man. Are you still on socials on
Not currently, no.
Okay, no worries. Cool. Well, you're we love having you on the show, man. We've had a lot of fun with a few of these. Mm-hmm. We've done Med, what position groups did we do? We did running backs,
quarterback, receiver, and running back.
We did those three, and now we're doing top 10 players. The hard thing about this, people, is it's top 10 players that primarily played in the 1990s. That is going to be the hardest thing about it. So, like we do with all of these, before we do our list, Mike, when you were making your list, what were some things that stood out to you? Were you doing more offense? What were you looking at when you made your list?
It's a potpourri of all the positions, Med, but it's about how many Pro Bowls you made,
okay,
the impact you had on your team, a lot of clutch play, and how you built your legacy. It's a combination of all those. I had some players that might surprise you, and some of you may be surprised were left out. Some of the orders may surprise you too.
Okay, I like it. Ned, what were your thoughts when you compiled this? This was a very fun decade. This is when I started watching football. This is probably, you remember.
I'm a little more seasoned.
You probably remember more from the 90s. Like, I remember my first memories were Troy Aikman and the Cowboys beating my Packers when I was 5, 6, 7. In that amazing prime.
Well, I mean, I went a little bit different with it. I went with players that were truly dominant, but also players that I enjoyed watching. So I kind of stepped a little bit away from some of the stats and everything and basically just looked at how some of the players that I grew up watching and how they played. And at one point when I played later on in my life, how I tried to actually keep some of these players, how to make part of their game my own. So, no, this was definitely a really tough one because there's more than just a few people that definitely deserve to be on this top 10 list. But also at the same time, I looked at players that not only were good, but they just had that little special oomph that you sit there and you're like, man, that dude has a lot of heart. So that's where I went.
I like it. This is going to be fun, man, because this was tough. Like, I'm not a big Brett Favre guy now, but he did get 3 MVPs in the 90s. It was kind of hard. It was a little like, I loved watching him as a player, but now as a person, he's kind of despicable. So it's like,
well, I mean, he had eye-popping numbers then, and he got eye-popping numbers now. So, I mean, depending on how you look at it.
He's a numbers guy. He definitely cares about his numbers.
So,
did you throw any Bears on your
Simpson in my top 10 running backs list? So I'm not short on players who are scumbags.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. Did you end up with any Bears on your list?
Me? No.
Yeah. It was a tough decade for y'all.
There's only like 2 players that I would actually even look at the 90s that, you know, it was nowhere near top 10, but one of my favorite players was actually in the 90s, and that was Curtis Conway. He was a really good receiver that we had for a while there. We only had like one playoff appearance in the whole 90s. So,
but I remember him because I played fantasy football, and I think he was on my team in 98 or 99.
Well, you definitely had a really good player because he was all we had.
I remember that. I won my first fantasy Super Bowl in 98. You've heard this story, but I don't know if he was on that team or the year after, but I'm pretty sure I had Curtis Conway on one of my teams. I think we do it like normal guys. If you're up for it, we work our way up to the top. We could start at 1, but I think it's more fun.
10 is better. Yeah.
Work our way up. So we're going to bring up our honorable mentions. This is going to be insanely difficult because there's so many. It's hard to like which quarterbacks do you leave off the list? Like, does Troy Aikman make your list? Does Jim Kelly make your list? Does John Elway? Does Steve Young? Does Brett Favre? There were so many in that decade, but there's so many dominant defensive players, and that decade was. We had some electrifying running backs. You not only had Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders, you had Thurman Thomas. If you guys remember him, he was freaking awesome. Well. That decade was fun. You had Deion Sanders, man, maybe the best cornerback ever. Bruce Smith, Reggie White. I'm saying a lot of the names we're going to see. But Larry Allen, one of the best offensive linemen in NFL history. Bruce, one of the best Oiler players, played that decade too. This is a tough one, man. You guys want to start with your honorable mentions and I'll go last? Mike, you want to start?
Yes. For number one, I had Steve Young. He was a dominant player for the Niners. He took over very well when Joe Montana was injured in 1990 and went to Kansas City. But I don't know who I'd leave off for him. Also, Terrell Davis, who was a Super Bowl MVP. Sorry to bring back those memories about the Packers, Isaac, but he was Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 32. And he had a 2,000-yard season. I had Thurman Thomas, who was a great not only runner but receiver. A Packer, Sterling Sharp. He had incredible seasons back then. It was like Terrell Davis' career was cut short, but not that decade. And yes, Jim Kelly. He led his team to 4 Super Bowls. I picked some people above him because he had 2 touchdowns, 7 interceptions in the Super Bowl, but he still had he's the one who got you there in the first place. If Scott Norwood would have made that field goal, maybe we'd have a different conversation. Probably we would.
I like it. Good honorable mentions. Very good list. Makes me wonder who's on your list, your top 10. And the All Decades team is pretty fun. I'm going to read some of those names in a few minutes. Bruce Matthews was the other one. There were some dominant offensive players that decade. He was actually first team over Larry Allen. That was kind of crazy. We'll take a little breaks throughout. I'll give you guys some names off that list. Med, who are some of your honorable mentions that didn't quite make your top 10 but were amazing players?
So, like I said earlier, I basically went with players that I enjoyed watching play and everything like that. So there are going to be some players. I'm going to piss some people off. It is what it is. I mean, I don't have
your shots from the sideline. You have to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't have Dan Marino on here. Great player, one of the best of all time, but he was not really sat there and was like, man, I wish Dan Marino. Well, I kind of do wish Dan Marino was on my team, but
he didn't even make my honorable mentions because he did more damage in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't even think of him, actually.
I mean, stats don't lie, and we always say that. So, I mean, but other players that did not make it that are really great, Deion Sanders ain't in my top 10. Chris Carter is not in my top 10. There are players that are supposed to be in my top 10 that are not in my top 10. But there are plenty of players that are more than deserving to be in my top 10, and that's just the way it is. Everyone has their own top 10.
And thanks for doing this one with guys. Matt, I appreciate this. And Mike, this is going to be a really fun one. This is the decade where I fell in love with football. I was born in 88. So this is a lot of fun. There were some guys I was surprised that were second team, like Larry Allen was second team to Bruce Matthews. But if you really think about it, those were 2 of the best guards in NFL history. So that one's kind of nuts. The tight end drop off from Shannon Sharp to Ben Coates is kind of wild. That was a pretty shallow position. Shannon Sharp is great. That one was wild. But some of my honorable mentions, I didn't even think of Dan Marino, ironically. Troy Aikman gets an honorable mention. He did not make my top 10. Love him. Won 3 Super Bowls. Great player. I've got some other Cowboys that made the list. He didn't. I just couldn't do it. Michael Irvin actually also didn't make my list. As great as he was, I love him, but there were too many other players, and there was a couple Cowboys that made it above him. And I love Michael Irvin, but I just couldn't do it, man. It was really hard. Rod Woodson also gets an honorable mention for me. I wanted to put Junior Seau on there. I might go over 5. He was one of the best linebackers. I mean, the guy was amazing. He was first team all linebacker for the decade. Awesome player. I think he was great, but there were guys that won rings, and there had to be some separator Maybe he's on y'all's list. I totally get it if he is. I actually left Shannon Sharp out too. As much as I loved him, he was amazing. I just couldn't quite put him top 10. I hope you guys don't hate me for it. And then the last honorable mention for me is Larry Allen and Jim Kelly. Larry Allen, I wanted to put him on there to have an offensive lineman. He probably deserves it. But there was another guy I had to go off of what I liked watching too. And Jim Kelly, great player, probably still the Bills' go quarterback, but didn't get that ring. So he's just off my list. Tough list. This is hard. Those names belong on a lot of lists. Those are a lot of Hall of Famers. This feels kind of criminal, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, and like you were saying earlier, I mean, you look at a player like Larry Allen, and the one thing that really I remember the most about Larry Allen is that there's this one clip where the quarterback got picked off and he chases down the cornerback, which, you know, when you're having a 315-pound brick wall chase you down, it would be kind of intimidating to watch that happen. So
I actually didn't put Derek Thomas on there as great as he was. This is a top 10 list. I couldn't do it. You're right though, Med. I should have gotten my dad in on this one. He would have had a ball. Dang. Okay, tell you what. Let's rotate order on each one. So I'll go first on like the eighth one. Med. Mike just went first. Med, who's your 10th best player of the 1990s? This is freaking hard, man.
So I went with Junior Seau.
I get it.
10th. I mean, the dude was a true leader for San Diego when the Chargers were still in San Diego. So I can actually say it this time without it looking too bad. But this is the man that actually had over 1,800 tackles throughout his whole career and visited the Super Bowl twice. Once later on in his career with the New England Patriots, which came up a little short, and then there was no time where he was the leader of the San Diego Chargers defense along with Rodney Harrison, and they went up against a juggernaut that year that was San Francisco 49ers and a loaded team. Seau, of course, one of the most things I remember the most about him was, of course, when you would actually say Al, and he had commercials that
I remember those.
And, I mean, it was 90s. It was all like like comic book pow and stuff like that. So I mean, Junior Seau was truly a great player. It's a shame, you know, what ended up happening to him later on in his life, but definitely a player that some people even said, you know, was moved from middle linebacker to outside linebacker so he could make Pro Bowls. He had, say what you will, say what you won't, but at the end of the day, was a 10 for me in the 1990s.
Mike, was he cutting in and out there for you, or is that just me?
A little bit.
Okay, dang it. Those were great commercials. Sorry, Pitch. I know you love your Chiefs, but this is an all-decade. This was hard to leave a lot of names off. Derek Thomas was phenomenal. So was Junior Seau. Good pick, Med. I think I went a little too close to the vest with this list, but it was like there was like 6 guys I just couldn't remove, and then it got tough. Good. I like the you totally reminded me of the Seau commercials. Those are freaking amazing. That is like the best name for a linebacker, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Perfect name.
He was such a great player. I remember him. Mike, who was your number 10? And guys, honestly, we're not on a big time crunch here, so you know, however much you want to say about each player. But Mike,
sure.
who do you
have John Elway as my number 10 player, and I will make my case.
Okay.
He was on the 1990s All-Decade team. Not only was he a 6-time Pro Bowler, but he was a 2-time Super Bowl winner, a Super Bowl 33 MVP. And the 1996 season, he had one bad game that happened to be against Jacksonville in the playoffs. This could have been if he would have three-peated, I'm sure he'd be a lot higher. I remember he is number 1 comeback leader of all time. A lot of those were in the 90s, including a lot of playoff games like the one against Houston in 1991. I put John Elway number 10, actually, and I love the way he exited.
I love it. Nice. I actually went a rival receiver, not Randy Moss, because he came in the decade too late. But I made Chris Carter my number 10. He was first team all decade for the 90s. He was an 8-time Pro Bowler from 93 to 2000. I know the 2000 doesn't count. He was the receptions leader in 94, touchdowns leader, receiving touchdowns leader 95, 97, and 99, which is kind of wild because all three of those were when he was 30 or older, aged season 30 or older. So the guy aged like a fine wine. He didn't really start declining until he was 35. But he didn't really start hitting his stride until 93. He had one season where he almost had 1,000 yards of Minnesota in 91. He didn't really start peaking until 93, and then he ripped off 8 straight seasons. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight these seasons at 1,000 yards. He had one season with 17 TDs. Ended up with 130, which is wild considering 2 of those seasons he did almost nothing. Long storied career. Wish he got in a Super Bowl ring. One of my favorite players. Thank you, Janae. He's my number 10. And even though he played for the Vikings, they've had some receivers, man. Justin Jefferson now after Chris Carter.
He's insane.
That team, the receivers. Woo! I didn't even mention Sterling Sharp in my honorable mentions, but yeah. Okay, so there's my number 10. Tell you what, we'll rotate because you guys both went first. Number 9, I'll go quick. I went quarterback. I didn't go Favre or Elway. I went Steve Young because, damn, he was good. Like, going against those 90s, if the Cowboys hadn't been there in the 90s, how many Super Bowls would this guy have won? That team was loaded. They retooled quickly. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Like, seriously, those battles with the Cowboys in the 90s were some of the best talent-wise teams, 2 juggernauts going at each other. It was basically the Super Bowl every year. They pretty much dismantled the AFC team every single season, whoever won, the 49ers or Cowboys, until the Packers finally ascended. But those going at each other, you knew that was the heavyweight fight. And Steve Young, that was an era where you could get wrecked, and his running ability was insane. To follow a legend and then get your own ring and make your own Hall of Fame career is really difficult to do. And he did it exceptionally well, and I think he belongs in the top 10. I put him at number 9. Mike, you want to go first? You want to go second on this one?
Sure. I put Bruce Smith as number 9. He was the most dominant player, in my opinion, in the Buffalo Bills. He not only was he an 8-time Pro Bowler, 2-time forced fumbles leader, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. This guy was one of the 3 best defensive ends of all time, Deacon Jones and Reggie White being the others. This man was nothing but amazing.
I like it, man. He's on my list. He's just higher up. I completely get it. Completely get it. Good call, dude. This top 3, I'm making it right now. Thank you, Janae. I'll message you after the show. We gotta talk before I move. Ooh, this is a good question. Med, do you mind if we pivot before your turn really quick?
Go ahead.
Why do what's your take on that? Would you consider 80s Cunningham or 90s first peak? That's a good question. Ooh.
I would say 90s because he was able to lead the Philadelphia Eagles to the playoffs at around that time. And, I mean, at the time, when he first came into the league, he was someone that you didn't really see as a play. Like, you never seen it before. Yes, there was Fran Tarkenton, but Randall Cunningham did it with a little more flash. And, of course, there was that one season in Minnesota where they just barely missed the Super Bowl, which, Denver might have been lucky that the Falcons won that one. But, man, he just resurged towards the end of it, at pretty much the end of his career. But I think 90s Cunningham is a little bit better.
I agree. And who's your number 9?
Too, also.
Oh, sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
In 1990, he should have been the MVP. 91, he had a good year. I wouldn't put him in the top 10. I don't think he was a Hall of Famer that high, but a Pro Bowler and one of the better quarterbacks of the 90s for sure. And 98 was a great year he had. He had a lot of help, but he did it. He had a great season.
Reg said you better have a lot of Cowboys on your list. This is his decade. Matt, who's your number 9 player, Matt?
So my number 9 player is actually Bruce Matthews. We were sitting there talking about offensive linemen. We need love too. So I went with Bruce Matthews. This is a guy that has the Bart Starr Award, was a 1990s all-decade team. Mr. Consistent, pretty much played in every single position, including long snapper on the offensive line. His number's been retired. He was a great player, comes from a very strong pedigree. In fact, Clay Matthews is related to him. I can't remember if it was his dad or his uncle, but I know he was related to him.
Hold on, I got
Brother.
you.
So, but whenever the consistency that he had, I mean, he was a perennial all-pro at any position that he played, and was an anchor for
Uncle. He's his uncle.
I was going to say I knew that. Oh, Clay Matthews was also his brother played for the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a guy that was Mr. Consistent, and even up to the end of his career, he helped lift up a surprising Tennessee Titans team to a Super Bowl against the Rams. Unfortunately, they didn't get it done, but he was definitely one of the best players of his time, and also a stand-up gentleman at the same time. Like I said, he had the Bart Starr Award, which is given to people with the best leadership capabilities of a player. So number 9 for me is Bruce Matthews. Love to the offensive lineman.
Love, man. I almost did it. It was so hard. I had so many, I didn't even hit Thurman Thomas, really. There's so many good players that didn't make this list. This is such, I could do a list of position groups from the 90s. It's such a good decade for a lot of positions. Good call, man. Okay, we are up to number 8. I went first there. Mike, why don't you take number 8? Who do you see your number
Derek
8?
Thomas. Your friend's going to love that.
Oh, there you go. There he is. Pitch. You get some
Derek
love.
Thomas is number 8.
Somebody had a chief.
8-time Pro Bowler, 116 and a half sacks. No one, to me, I'm as big a Lawrence Taylor fan as I get. I don't think there'll be another one like him. He and Jack Hammer are the closest things for outside linebackers, maybe Ted Hendricks you'll ever get. Like LT, 80s belong to LT, 90s belong to DT. And Kansas City had some excellent teams. I mean, Joe Montana, who's not on my list because he was an 80s guy, played for them. But Derek Thomas was the best player on that team. He had 7 sacks in one game that'll never be broken, though he missed the one that really counted, but he still had 7. He is my number 8 pick.
Great pick. I like it. Very good. He did not make mine, but I like it. And guys, if you want to drop yours in the comments, I will hit it. So if you want to drop yours or any players you loved watching in the 90s, that was when I fell in love with football. I remember, Mike, you'll like this. I remember, before we keep going, I remember a Super Bowl trophy my dad made out of ice when the Packers finally won that Super Bowl, because it had been almost 30 years, basically 30. They went from Super Bowl 10 to 31 until they won. So it had been a long time. That was the bad stretch of the Packers. 70s and 80s mostly sucked. So he made an ice Lombardi trophy, and then we threw a party for the second one because we thought we were going to beat the Broncos, but that one didn't happen, sadly. Med brings a smile to his face every time I bring that story up, the end of that story. Med, who's your number 8 player, man?
I actually got another fellow player from the North. We're talking about some John Randall, Mr. Nonstop Motor, a little bit undersized for a defensive tackle. Was always the heart and soul for the Minnesota defense around in that time. Just an absolute monster. I believe he's in the top 10 with sacks all time in the NFL. You sit there and you just kind of watch some of the videos, and his mouth was just yammering the whole time. Like he was talking trash throughout the whole game. He would have the war paint on, looking like a terror and everything. And he was a true terror for anyone that was going to be blocking him. He was so small that it was hard for offensive linemen to actually get a hold of him whenever they were blocking. And yes, be honest with you, offensive linemen hold on every single play. But
what are you talking about? They don't grab jersey.
No, not at all. Yeah, no. That's why they just keep their hands up in the shoulders. But Randall was just he was a different kind of beast. He had that dog in him, and he was going to be relentless in every game that he played. And I don't think he had a season unless where he didn't have at least 10 sacks a season. So
he
could be wrong on that, but I'm not looking at my statistics and everything. I'm just
you pretty much nailed it, man. From 91, he had at least 8 sacks every. Well, actually, no, he had at least 9.5 every year through the 90s. From 91 to 99, every year, 9.5. Yep, no, you nailed it. And he did most of his damage in the 90s. He was pretty solid with Seattle too. Actually, he had a couple of decent seasons, but yep, you got it, man. He was the decade just had. You had 2 of the best pass rushers in NFL history, so he gets a little forgotten, which is unfortunate. I like that call. Good one. I went quarterback again at 8. This was really tough. I went John Elway because I don't feel like he was. The weird thing is, when you take his career, I'd have him above Brett Favre. When you just look at the 90s, I know he won 2 rings. Favre, I think, did more damage in the 90s as a player, and it was really close. But I was unbiasedly, I was trying to look at it. I know Elway won the Super Bowl head-to-head, but he had Terrell Davis. And if you look at that game, other than the scramble, he barely threw over 100 yards in that game. It was the Atlanta Super Bowl where he just went on fire on his last game ever. That is like one of the best ways to walk into retirement. I don't think – that might be statistically the best game somebody's ever had in a Super Bowl, then retired, especially as a quarterback. But other than that Super Bowl, he had some good playoff teams in the early 90s, but there was a little bit of a lull. And statistically, Favre was it was way, like you could compare stats. It was Favre did a lot more touchdowns, interceptions as well, yards. Mm-hmm. So I had Elway at 8, but to get 2 rings your last 2 years as a professional, that's pretty special. And he did beat my Packers, so he definitely deserves a spot on the 90s list. And he ended his career fabulously, so he's my number 8. Med, you want to start number 7?
All right. Well, so you went with John Elway. I'm going to go with the captain that was on the other side of the ball for the Denver Broncos team. We're talking about Steve Atwater.
Good list. Good pick.
For the Denver Broncos. And this was a dude that, even though sometimes was considered undersized, he was not ever afraid to actually go up and lay a hit. One of his most famous moments was the time where he put Christian, the Nigerian Nightmare, Okoye. Thank you, Okoye. Onto his keister when he went up in the middle, and this was a guy that outweighed him by about 50 pounds. And just a great player, great coverage, really willing to just lay you out. One of my favorite players growing up. My dad always loved him too, even though he was a Steelers fan. But this was definitely one of the players I enjoyed watching as a kid. I'm going to go with Steve Atwater at number 7.
I didn't take enough risks with this list. I love Atwater. I wanted to put a few of the guys you've done, man. I like it a lot. Good pick. When I list best hit, hardest hitters in NFL history, a lot of people mention Atwater, and he belongs up there. Like Ronnie Lott, but he did more of his damage in the 80s. Mike, who is your number 7, man?
This will surprise you, and that stole my thunder, Bruce Matthews.
There you go.
Larry Allen had a better, I would say, an even career, but he didn't play as long in the 90s as Matthews did. This guy was a 9-time Pro Bowler. He played, like Ned said, every position in the book. He was a key blocker for the run and shoot. He gets a lot of credit, in my opinion, for why that offense went to the playoffs so often. And really had such success with 4 running backs, the 4 receivers. And then later, 99, Kevin Dyson was 1 yard away, if you remember, from tying that game. If they would have won that game, I think he'd be much more heralded. He was a 9-time Pro Bowl. I'm surprised he wasn't 10. But he dominated almost everybody who came his way. He was amazing. Lyman don't get enough attention. Larry Allen was a lower scale. Honorable mention, Bruce Matthews is number 7.
I agree.
Good stuff. All right, my number 7 is, I tried to be unbiased, but he had to go on there. I did Brett Favre. He did get 3. I mean, like he was second team to Elway, and I get it because he only won 1 ring, but he completely turned the Packers around with Holmgren. They had dominant. They got Reggie White. They had some other dominant players like Leroy Butler. He was awesome. Invented the Lambeau Leap, but he had 11 Pro Bowls. He had several through the 90s. 4. He threw a ton of interceptions, but he had 3 MVPs in the 90s. I couldn't leave him off the list. I was trying to be unbiased about it, but he had 3 straight seasons with 35 TDs or more. He had a lot of picks, but with the rushing TDs, he was basically averaging almost 40 a season in the mid 90s. That's kind of wild. Had a little stretch at the beginning of the 2000s, the end of the 90s. That wasn't as special, like 99. The team went 8-8. They kind of faded for a little bit, and then they had a resurgence in the 2000s with him, and then he ended his career pretty well with Minnesota. But guy was just like, I think, a little ahead of his time. Even though he would throw, I would be worried he'd throw it to the other team. The arm strength he had, I think he could still play in today's NFL. Not my favorite person. One of my least favorite players. It sucks that he plays for my team. He played for my team because despicable human. But just achievements on the field, he deserves a spot on this list. So I got him at number 7. Matt, any thoughts?
Oh, the plenty. I mean, you know,
Drop
looking at what Janae,
Do it.
of course, Janae's going to agree. I mean, how many Packer fans can there be? No, you know, with later circumstances in Mississippi aside and everything like that, no, Brett Favre was a great player. I mean, he was going to keep the other team in the game sometimes. I mean, hello, Minnesota versus New Orleans. But, I mean, other than that, no, he definitely fricasseed my Bears more than a few times. And, you know, he just had that, especially Monday Night Football, he was lights out half the time. I remember the game after his dad died, you know, that he just lit up a really good Raiders defense. So, you know, he's a great player. I can't fault him for that.
And the 90s, it wasn't actually as dominant as you'd think as the 2010s. Rodgers actually was even better, but they were 13-7 against you guys in the 90s. Yeah. The 2010s was the one that really sucked. It was 17-4, but 90s, that's when he flipped it. You guys had owned the 70s and 80s. Actually, the only decade we had won up to that point was the 60s. The 20s were very close. It was 7-6 to 3 to 30s. We're super close, 12-11-1, so almost split. But you guys completely dominated us in the 40s and 50s. We dominated the 60s. You guys barely won the 70s. You won the 80s, and then we flipped it, thankfully. Rightfully so. Hopefully it continues. We've been owning this decade. I hope it 10-3. I hope it continues. So. If you keep splitting 1-1, you're not going to catch up.
We're going to catch up. In fact, you do realize that y'all are the winningest franchise right now, but you know who it was before y'all were? The Bears.
Isn't that fun? I'm telling my dad we got to go to a Packer game this fall, Mike. And I really want to pick a Packer Bear game to meet this guy because I've actually never met him in person. We've done this for
almost 3 years
now. Yeah.
You arrive like the Packers Bears itself.
That would be amazing. So, okay, so we are at. So I did Brett Favre. We are on number 6. I'll do this one quick. I couldn't drop him any lower. I had Bruce Smith. I compiled it earlier. He had better stats just straight in the 90s than Reggie White. And I almost put him above Reggie White. The guy was ridiculous. This guy was amazing. It's really sad he didn't get a Super Bowl ring. He was 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 90 and 96, 11-time Pro Bowler, 2-time forced fumbles co-leader. That's cool. I hadn't even heard of that one. 80s All-Decade Team and 90s All-Decade Team. Tough to make 2 decades. He did first team All-Pro 8 times, with 6 of them being in the 90s. Dude was ridiculous. 11-time Pro Bowler. He was just ridiculous. He had way over 100 sacks just in the 90s. One season with 19. multiple at 10 or over. He was kind of like Randall, other than 91 when he got hurt and 99 when he kind of was slowing down a little. He had 7 that season. It was 10 or more every year. You knew Bruce Smith was going to show up for the Buffalo Bills. It's one of the reasons they made 4 Super Bowls in a row. Oh, yeah. Peter, I'll hit that in a minute. But yeah, Bruce Smith makes my number 6. Mike, who's your number 6?
Emmitt Smith. He's higher than everybody else's list, but I don't know who I'd take down for the first 5. He was a 9-time Pro Bowler, 1995 scoring leader. As I said on previous show, he did benefit a lot from the offensive line. I don't take away everything from that. Maybe a little, because I think that a lot of people would have benefited more from the line as well. But he had 18,000 yards in his career, and he was the anchor of a lot of those championships. I have him that low because I don't know which of the 5 I have higher I will put down for him, but Emmitt Smith's my pick.
And I agree with that 100% because, I mean, whenever you do look at some of these players, yes, he was a very dominant player. I'm not going to – all-time rushing king. But you look at that offensive line, and, you know, some people have argued with me like, you know, well, Detroit's was just – no, it wasn't. No. This was an all-time great offensive line for multiple seasons. This wasn't just like 1, 2, 3 years and done. This was like 5, 6 years in a row where they were just laying people out. And there were so many times where you saw Emmitt Smith run up the middle of the field and not get touched for 7 to 8 yards. So I agree with Mike on that 100%. I understand why Emmitt Smith is down to 6.
Oh, I get it. He's on my list, but I almost dropped him lower because of the offensive line. But you know, I get it. I almost did it. It felt weird having him ahead of a couple of the players that I'm about to list, but I get it. Thank you to everybody watching too. We're up to almost 60 people right now. Appreciate you guys. In the middle of May, you guys rock. Okay. All right. And Med, you got to remind me, we got to do a Nerd Kitty a shout out at the end. Okay. Yeah. Number 5. This was actually really difficult, these 2 players. I couldn't decide which order. Med, you want to go first here? What's your number 5? Oh, you know what? Actually,
I didn't even do 6.
Oh, sorry. Number 6. My bad. Sorry.
All right, you're good. I went with Rod Woodson. This is someone that a lot of people, of course, he was known also as a safety for the Ravens and Raiders later on in the 2000s. But during the 1990s, there was, other than Deion Sanders, Rod Woodson was the other cornerback that a lot of teams feared. I mean, he could literally grab it, take it to the house. Great punt returner. He was an overall spark, was not afraid to come lay the lumber on you. And, I mean, I watched him a lot because my family are Steeler fans. I'm a Bears fan. They're Steeler fans. And, I grew up watching him. This was like the first superstar player I recall growing up when I first started watching football and actually remembering the players. And this guy, he was pretty much he was a lockdown corner, just the same as Deion Sanders, just actually tackled. So for my number 6, I'm going Rod Woodson.
Like it. Okay, Med, you want to recap your 10 through 6 really quick? I apologize on that one. I thought you were going with the same player. My bad.
All right. So my number 10 was Junior Seau.
Yeah.
Great middle linebacker, in my opinion. Number 9 was Bruce Matthews. Number 8, John Randall. Number 7 was Steve Atwater. Number 6, Rod Woodson. A lot of defensive backs.
I like it. I just kind of caught that.
A lot. In fact, all but one are defensive players. I mean, guess what I played?
I wanted to include more. This felt kind of easy. Like I went too safe, but it's a hard this is a loaded decade. We could do another list, like just chuck these players out and do another 10, and it would be 10 other great players. We could probably do 2 more of these, honestly. Yeah. I agree. Well, I don't know about that. Charles Woodson was pretty awesome, but Rod was too. Both Woodsons were excellent. Yeah, some team up north that kind of wrecked your team and won a Super Bowl against you in the conference championship. Yeah, he won Defensive Player of the Year himself. Mike, who are your 10 through 6, really quick?
Number 10, John Elway. Number 9, Bruce Smith. Number 8, Derek Thomas. Number 7, Bruce Matthews. Number 6, Emmitt Smith.
In my top 10, my 10 through 6 were Chris Carter at 10, Steve Young at 9, John Elway at 8, Brett Favre at 7, Bruce Smith at 6. And you know what? Honored guest Mike, why don't you go number 5 really quick, and I'll go last here.
Sure, I'm taking Reggie White. Who was a lot more than just statistics. So you got a Packer in there, yeah. He had 7 times, 7-time Pro Bowler, all 90s team, and anybody on the pack, whether it's Mike Holmgren, the coach, Brett Favre, the quarterback, will say he was instrumental in winning that championship. He tackled like crazy, inspired everybody else to be great. He is the greatest defensive end of all time, and he was great in the 80s, but he was just as good in the 90s. Number 5 is Reggie White.
He really was. He was him and Bruce Smith.
And that Super Bowl where he basically shut down the New England Patriots offense pretty much, I wouldn't say by himself, but it sure felt like it. It was almost as dominant as Aaron Donald and that final series against Cincinnati. Just Reggie White was just a different type of beast. And, I remember watching Chris Carter try to block him one time, and he ended up getting thrown, a grown-ass man getting thrown 7 yards backwards doing a run block. And, I think at the time it was Robert Smith was the running back for Minnesota, and he literally pauses. And after he sees that, he's like, I don't know about this. So, but yeah, that's a great pick right there, boss.
Yeah. Even Peter can't deny the Reggie White. When Bears fans can't even say it, he was great. Yeah, man, he had 3 sacks in that Super Bowl. It just wasn't all of the end like Aaron Donald. They clinched the game, but the 2 sacks and the 2 tackles for loss and the quarterback hit, it was pretty wild the way he closed the game. Reggie had 3 sacks in that Super Bowl on Drew Bledsoe. Dominated the second half. I don't think we might still have won that game, but I don't think we win it without him. I really don't even think we get there without Reggie White. That was the year our team was stupid good. The defense was as dominant as the offense, and Reggie she nailed it. On this one, he was a beast, and he's my number 5 player too. He is. I almost put him 4, but that was like splitting hairs, honestly. So he was absurdly talented. I know Bruce Smith had more sacks, but I think Reggie was at his peak a little more dominant, but it's really close. If Bruce Smith had gotten a ring, it'd be tough. So yeah.
Thank you, Scott Norwood.
There has to be separators at the top. That's why I didn't even think of Dan Marino. But that's why Jim Kelly, as much as I wanted to put him up there, I put Favre and Young up there because they got one and he didn't. It's just there's got to be some, when these guys are that great, we're splitting hairs, It's tough. Okay, so everybody went, right?
No, not Med.
Med? Who's your 5?
Oh, well, I went with someone that was already discussed, and he was a product of the Alabama Crimson Tide. We're talking about Derek Thomas. Like you said, he made probably one of the first 1-2 punches as far as a sack combo team with him and Neil Smith on the other side. And he was just magical. I mean, he was drafted in the top 5 in that ever so famous draft where the Packers picked Tony Maravich with the 2nd pick, and everyone else was drafted around him, and those 5 picks was a Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, Derek Thomas was taken way too soon due to a car accident, and I believe his early 30s. I want to say he was either 30 or 32, not 100% sure on the age, but just a truly special player that he wasn't going to win a Super Bowl with the Chiefs teams that he was on, but you knew that the defense was going to be good with him on there. So, but production-wise, Derek Thomas, he was the man. Give me him at number 5.
I like it. Was that? I got a question. Did you do that for a pitch?
No, actually,
I'm just
Derek Thomas was on my list.
He was
one of the first players I thought. In fact, Techno Super Bowl. I used to play with the Chiefs, and he would have those games where he had 7 sacks against Seattle on every game because I knew how to get around people with Derek Thomas. So, yeah.
Like it, man. Yeah, that in like Madden with the 95 Cowboys, Madden 95 with the Cowboys. You literally, I don't remember us ever beating whoever played the Cowboys. It was just unbeatable. My uncle used to get so ticked when he had to play against them. We would have to take turns. We almost had to ban the 95 Cowboys just because they were freaking unbeatable. It was just.
Oh, I get that. That's like the regular Techno Bowl where the Bears. I mean, I was intercepting passes with William Perry and taking them to the house. I mean,
right? Tecmo Bowl, I didn't play as much of. I played more Madden, but Tecmo Bowl is pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie, it's got to come back. Kids are playing mods of it at school on their computers. No joke. They're playing a different. It still is. I need to get back into Madden. I like Peter's comment here. Brings character in, which I completely get. Yeah. I get it. He's got another question for you before we keep going. So we all did number 5. You guys, what do you think here? Better duo, Derek Thomas and Neil Smith, or Bruce Smith and Cornelius Bennett?
Probably Smith and Bennett because I like Bennett more than Smith, but it's close.
I love Bruce Smith. In fact, I think you'll be hearing me talk about him later, but I think as far as a combo goes, if you're looking for like a better sack duel, then yeah, I would go with DT and Neil Smith. If you're going with the overall defense, then I would go with Bruce Smith and Cornelius Bennett.
I'm going to go Bruce Smith and Cornelius Bennett, but this is really close. It's just because –
that's a damn good question there.
That is a really good one, Peter. I like that because it's mainly because Bruce Smith, I think, was that much better than Neil Smith, as good as he was. Thomas is dominant, but I just think, I don't know, it's close. I think Bruce Smith is the best player there. That's the tough thing. It's close. That's debatable, though. Derek Thomas was pretty awesome, so I get it. Okay, number 4, Med, why don't you go first on this one?
Number 4, I got my second favorite quarterback of all time. We're talking about John Elway. I wanted to say that before you could be like, man, fired. No, it's John Elway. This guy, I mean, anytime I watch the Super Bowl highlights of a particular Super Bowl and I see him spinning around like a helicopter, all I can say is that I get a little misty-eyed whenever I see that play. I'm sitting there like, damn, what a great player.
Are you a Broncos fan now?
Way to like really stick it to them Packers. And I made so much money off of that game.
You really needed that because you'd had a whole decade of misery with your Bears. I get it.
And it's all good. You know why? Because I had a lot less misery when that happened. In fact, it was like a ballet, if you would. Nutcracker Suite. Him spinning around, laying on the ground, laying it all out on the line. He had the heart of a true champion. And then he slayed the beast. That was the green and gold, the mustard and relish, the waste management of teams, if you will. But no, John Elway.
Sounds like you secretly love this team. What's this team?
So much.
You love them.
Love is an optional word.
I can't even hate because this is my aunt's favorite player, and I hated that play as a kid, but she loved him, and in turn, I kind of do too, so I get it.
So I accidentally bought his pop twice, like a Funko Pop. Yeah, I thought about mailing them to you.
Dude, I would love that. Or when I come in March, I'll just take it with me.
No, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll just hold on to it and it has some back uniform.
Or we go to a game if you want to bring it. If we do meet up for a game this
year.
If
we could actually make it to a game, yeah.
I was just telling my dad we got to go. I was like, they play the Cardinals in Arizona the year after, but I want to go to Lambeau. So I think we're going to do it. Life is short. I want to do it. We did it as a kid.
Well, if we go to Lambeau, then we got to go to Soldier Field too before it actually goes into the Gary Bears. But anyway,
I think we do one this year, one next year. I agree.
Sorry that we just kind of derailed there for a minute. John Elway, whenever the whole hoopla was going on about him not wanting to go to the Baltimore Colts, he proved why they wanted him so bad, even though he said, don't draft me. But truly a dual threat quarterback ahead of his time, really changed the game for a lot of players and everything like that. And he drug some I wouldn't say subpar Denver teams, but he carried 3 Denver teams that should have probably not been in the Super Bowl to the Super Bowl before he finally had a running game that actually helped him out with Terrell Davis in those last 2 Super Bowls he played, which he won both. So give me John Elway at number 4.
Love it. I'll go last in this one. I've been going a lot. Mike, who you got it for?
Brett Favre. I will make my case.
Yeah, Mike, you're my favorite. You're my favorite person in the show right now.
All right. I mean, even though he had 5 Pro Bowls, he had all the yards, the touchdowns, the completions, the comebacks, the 3 MVPs, the Super Bowl win. I mean, Desmond Howard was the MVP, but he had a heck of a game. This was Favre's decade, and I think he was the quarterback. Elway was a better quarterback overall, but he played the 80s as well, like Ned said. I think Favre's as high as number 4. So you have 2 Packers back-to-back here, White and Favre.
I like it. I didn't go that high with Favre. Actually, I got Deion Sanders here. I couldn't. The best cover corner I've ever seen. I know he didn't tackle, but the best cover corner that could just tilt the field so heavily. And just the fact that he could match up with even Jerry Rice and the receivers in that era, I just couldn't leave him out of my top 5. And I had him at 4. I almost put him above the next guy. They don't win that 3rd Super Bowl without Deion, I don't think. And the fact that he went back-to-back was like a mercenary. Went to the 49ers, won a ring. Went to the rival Cowboys, won a ring. Pretty unprecedented to do in NFL history as one of the best players. And the deal he got with the Cowboys, awesome player. Wish he could tackle a little better, but he sure was a threat to take it back to the house anytime. Best, like I said, best cover corner I've seen. Darrelle Revis was great. Woodson was great. There have been some awesome corners. Champ Bailey was awesome. Richard Sherman, but I think Deion personally is the best corner I've ever seen in NFL history. Just pure coverage. And he's my number 4. I had to go unbiased. So, yeah. All right. Top 3. You guys ready? I'll go quick. I'll go. Oh, wait. Everybody went 4, right? Med, you went.
Med went to Gilbert. That's right.
Yeah, Med went. I didn't mess up this time. Yeah. Okay, I'll go fast on 3. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've got a friend watching in Arizona, and I'm like, he's telling me his list, and I'm sorry.
Tommy needs to tell you that list right here in the chat.
I agree.
Come on, bro.
Drop it in the chat. Hold on.
Yeah.
Listen in the chat.
I mean, our buddy Peter hit the list right there. Look at that.
List. All right, let's read his list. He's got Barry 1. I love it. Deion 2, Rice 3. That's controversial. Steve Young 4, back-to-back. Marshall Faulk made his list from the 90s. That's interesting. I didn't even think of him, even though he was pretty good. I thought of him for the 2000s.
2000s in my eyes.
Even though he faded, but that little stretch around the beginning of the 2000s was absurd. Steve Atwater, Shannon Sharp, Bruce Smith, Brian Dawkins, and Cunningham makes it over Favre. Definitely.
Was Brian Dawkins in the 90s?
Huh?
Yeah, he was. I'll be damned. I didn't even.
Was he?
I thought he was in the 2000s.
I didn't even know he played in the 90s. Did he even? He did. 96, though. That's why I didn't think of him. I thought of him more as 2000s. Yeah. Fair, though. I like it. Good list. Except for the far bias, but, I get it. Whatever. So, okay. All right. Number 3. This was difficult to put him up this high. Yeah, I know. That one's fun. I still want to see Max Melton. Elijah Jones. That's Mike will tell you about that one later. Okay, number 3, I've got Emmitt Smith. I know the offensive line, Michael Irvin, and that defense buoyed him, but to do what he did still that year, he was holding out. They lost 2 games. You could see his value. I don't think they win 1 Super Bowl without him. The NFL all-time rushing leader did most of his damage in the 90s, won 3 rings. I hate the Cowboys, but unbiasedly, he deserved a spot very high on the list. I got him at 3. He could be higher, could have been lower, but I felt like he deserved to be in the top 5 somewhere. Emmitt Smith is my number 3. Med, what do you go? You want to go second on this one?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going second with the
Third.
sack king, the only player with over 200 sacks in the NFL. We're talking about Bruce Smith of the Buffalo Bills. Just phenomenal player, dominant in pretty much every single year. The only blemish I saw on anything that he did, other than when he went to Washington with all that money, was he got shut down by the great Tony Baselli against that one game against the Jags, who made a sudden surge to the AFC Championship game in their second season. And Bruce Smith, he was an anchor. You look at what he was able to accomplish in Buffalo, over 200, most of his 200 sacks in Buffalo, and the Bills were not going to make it to any Super Bowl without this guy. And the fact that they were able to do this when their team ran the no huddle almost all the time, he was out there, like literally he put the mask up and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going with number 3, Bruce Smith.
I like it, man. He almost he almost got higher on my list too. I completely get it. Mike, who's your number 3?
Deion Sanders. Think about this.
Love it.
He only played 1 year in the 80s. This man was the greatest cornerback ever, one of the best return men ever. He locked Jerry. He went toe to toe with not only Jerry Rice, but everybody else was afraid of it. They wouldn't throw it his way. In 1992, he was a kickoff return leader. He went back to back with Super Bowls. I'm not saying he was the sole reason why they won, but he was a great reason why the Niners won 94 and the Cowboys won 95. I go for prime time as number 3.
I like it.
I like it a lot. Mike, you want to go number 2 first here?
Yes, 1 and 2 were very close, but Jerry Rice got my pick as number 2, primarily because he did sit out the 97 season. But get this, he had 4 times he had 100 catches or more. He had incredible, of course, he's by far the best receiver ever. 12,078 yards in that decade, 8-time Pro Bowl. He was so the guy was also a great blocking receiver, a great playoff player. Just so clutch. He played so great with Steve Young, and he played great with who was after him, Steve Bono or Jeff Garcia. I think both of them. Mm-hmm. He's one of the 5 greatest players of all time and the second greatest player of the 90s.
I like it. Med, who you got number 2?
Also, Jerry Rice. This is just, you pretty much nailed all the points. The only time when he got hurt playing against Tampa Bay, when Warren Sapp got him and tore his ACL, a lot of people felt like he was done after that. Then he went back. He basically redefined himself as the one of 2 players to have some of the most brutal workouts, which the other player was Walter Payton and Jerry Rice both ran up hills. And he came back. He stole the show. I think he had over 1,500 yards receiving the following year after tearing his ACL. And he was just phenomenal. He had a couple slow years towards the end with the 49ers, but then rejuvenated his career with the Raiders and Tim Brown. Just one of the best players of all time. In my opinion, he is the GOAT of the NFL. And, 23,000, he's got one of 2 records that or 3 records that I don't think 4 records. I'm just going up because I'm thinking of Tom Brady, but no one's ever going to touch his records in touchdowns or receiving yards.
I originally had Jerry Rice at number 1, but when I'm looking at their stats purely from the 90s, Rice had that season where, like you said, he played 1 game. And then in 99, he kind of faded and only had 830 yards. Owens was kind of taken over. And he had that resurgence with the Raiders amazingly at age 39 and 40, which is just wild. Mm-hmm. And to be putting up those stats at 37 is still impressive. And his stretch run in the early 90s was pretty freaking ridiculous. And he still got another Super Bowl ring. but I'm going to go Jerry Rice at 2. I'm flipping my list because the guy who I think we all have at 1,
Oh,
I
no.
think.
I already figured that one.
Yeah, the guy who we all have at 1, I wanted to differ from you guys. And Rice, when you include his entire career, it's a weird one where he started mid-'80s and he deserves to be on that list too, and he won 2 Super Bowls. But when you look just purely at 90s, 1,848 yards, receiving 95 isn't it's just wild. But he did tail off a little bit at the end of the 90s, so I think I've got him at 2 as well. Won a Super Bowl, best receiver I've ever seen, one of the best players in NFL history, might be the best pure player. It's you're splitting hairs when you're talking Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, Tom Brady, Joe Montana. Those guys at the top, they're all goats in their own right. I consider Barry Sanders, Emmett Smith. Well, not sorry, Barry Sanders, Jim Brown, and Walter Payton all to be the GOAT running back because they were great at different things. To be honest, you could make your own list, but I consider them all GOATs because they were. I don't think you have the same NFL without those 3 players. But receiver, Jerry Rice stands alone. He is definitely the best, but he's my number 2 as well. Does everybody have Barry Sanders number 1?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I figured. You guys, you know what? Mike, you hit it first. Med, whatever, and whatever y'all don't touch, I'll go last.
Sure.
Mike, what's your thoughts on Barry?
Incredible. One of the greatest, 10 greatest, if not 5 greatest players of all time, the greatest player of the 90s. He had 9 Pro Bowls. He had 13,799 yards. Only one of his seasons was in the 80s. A 5.0 average. He had a 6.1 average in 97. As much as I love Brett Favre, he should have been the sole MVP that year. And he had a terrible line. He was also, whereas Jim Brown carried players in his back, Barry Sanders was untouchable. I mean, he was the human highlight reel. And if he had a line, forget Dallas even, if he had a line like Denver, if he had a line like Green Bay, if he had a line like Chicago, he'd be the stratosphere. He would be the GOAT. But I can't give someone credit for something he didn't do. He's the single best player, never wore a ring. He's my number 1 pick. Best player of the 90s, Barry Sanders.
Just even if he had decent quarterback play, can you imagine they might have actually won a Super Bowl with how great he was? Like the quarterback play was like compared to the other quarterbacks in that era, he wasn't the worst, but it was way below some of the top guys in the 90s. If they'd had even a good to Pro Bowl level QB, even if you didn't have the line, can you imagine the pressure that would have taken off Barry? Oh my God!
Yeah, Scott Mitchell certainly none of the players we mentioned.
And you had Herman Moore. You had
Garcia.
Tim Brown. Herman Moore didn't even get mentioned. We didn't even mention Herman Moore till right now because of how many great players there was. He's right. Tim Brown, nobody mentioned him. He's awesome. But the decade was just stacked.
I sort of mentioned him when talking about Jerry Rice.
Oh, that's true. You did. That's right. Ned, what are your thoughts on Barry?
I mean, as a Bears fan, I used to watch this dude torch our team every single time, and he made highlight reel after highlight reel after highlight reel against the Bears, against really any team he played. But if you look at some of his more memorable runs, it seems to be against the Bears. He wasn't overly large, but he can always get small, never really took a big hit, never fumbled. He never spiked the ball whenever he went into the end zone. His dad told him, hey, have class, act like you've been there before. And he followed up on that. Phenomenal player. And unfortunately, like Mike said earlier, the offensive line was terrible. He made a terrible offensive line look good. And unfortunately, the losing eventually got to him. And that's a lot of people feel, if you watch the documentary he released, he even, points out it wasn't him being told he can't go to San Francisco. He just lost to love. And, one of the things I always told, I told my nephew, I said, if you do not love something anymore, then it's time to go. And, if he would have stayed in the NFL, Emmitt Smith would not even sniffed the rushing record. If he was just that great. He's one of 2 players with over 100 yards, the other per game, the other one being Jim Brown. I mean, he never had less than 1,500 yards a game. He averaged that for his 10-year career. And it was watching water flow through a river whenever you saw him play. He would always go to the hole least traveled, like less resistant. He had great vision and just a great player.
Oh, yeah. And carried that team. When he started, they were 7-9, 6-10. Then they were 12-4, get to the conference championship, play a loaded Redskins team, get demolished 41-10. The next year they suck. Then he gets into the playoffs 3 straight years, lose to the Packers, 2 of them that get destroyed by Philly. Just didn't have the team. That year he won the MVP, they were only 9-7. They lost the wild card in the playoffs. He just got tired of
losing
the team. They just did not know how to build a team around him. But like you said, he had over 1,500 yards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And 2 of those other ones were 1,470 and 1,491. His worst season, he missed 5 games and still had 1,100 yards. Just ridiculous, man. Averaging 5.0 with that line, and I know he had a couple decent linemen, but damn, he was a good player. He was a great, not even good. That's an understatement. He was a great player. He was freaking phenomenal and best running back I've seen. Just pure talent. You go in production, triple threat. Walter Payton deserves to be up there, and he was special. And Barry's running backwards in his goal line problems maybe make Walter the most complete, or Jim Brown, but he's the most electrifying player I've ever seen. I hated when we played him, but it was like Barry is the one player like Jerry Rice and maybe Lawrence Taylor or Reggie White's power move, or Tom Brady when he was controlling the game and coming back, where it was just like poetry in motion. It was like watching Michael Jordan. You're just watching something you knew you're never going to quite see again. And that's Barry. Walter deserves to be on there too. There's just a few players in NFL history that got to that level of pure artistry. And you don't even have to just watch the highlight reel. But when you're watching his highlight reels now in 2026, you probably think it's AI and it's real. He was that good. This was awesome. You guys want to recap your list before we boogie in a few?
Sure. Number 10, John Elway. Number 9, Bruce Smith. Number 8, Derek Thomas. Number 7, Bruce Matthews. Number 6, Emmitt Smith. Number 5, Reggie White. Number 4, Brett Favre. Number 3, Deion Sanders. Number 2, Jerry Rice. Number 1, Barry Sanders.
Good list, man. Med, what's yours?
Number 10, Junior Seau. Number 9, Bruce Matthews. Number 8, John Randall. Number 7, Steve Atwater. Number 6, Rod Woodson. Give me Derek Thomas at number 5. Number 4 is John Elway. Number 3 is Bruce Matthews. Sorry, my neck has just been bothering me. Number 2, Jerry Rice. Number 1, Barry Sanders.
Sorry, man. Neck pain's the worst. You're like, getting old is fun. I wake up sometimes, it's just like.
I pulled a muscle stretching one time when I was 41. The day I turned 41, I went to stretch and I pulled a muscle on my back.
I hope that doesn't happen to me in a few years, but sometimes I have to be careful with this shoulder when I'm lifting. All right, my top 10, Chris Carter. I had to throw a Viking up there. Steve Young, John Elway, number 8. Brett Favre, number 7. Bruce Smith, number 6. Reggie White, number 5. Deion, number 4. Emmitt Smith, number 3. So 2 Cowboys made it. Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman get honorable mention. Emmitt Smith, 3. Jerry Rice, 2. Barry Sanders, 1. Similar to you guys at the top. This was a blast, guys. Med, I want to be good to your time and let you get some sleep. But Med, you want to shout out Nerdcadia and your sponsors really quick?
Yeah. So I do other things outside of sports with Fun Football Podcast. I have a little thing called Nerdcadia. We're starting to get a little more traction now. I have a sponsor through Dubby, which if you use my promo code of NC1, you can actually get a 10% discount on any kind of powdered drink. It's an energy drink that You look at how much money you spend if you drink them at a Kangaroo or something like that. You're spending about $4. Well, you can get this, fill it up at your house, and it costs you a little more than $1 per glass. But we got another show coming up before too long. I'm actually in talks with a comic book store owner about possibly interviewing him, and hopefully we'll be able to actually go there and interview them in his store. So that's where Nercadia is right now. And this weekend, I'm going to go see my great niece. So I will be out of town for the weekend.
We might have one more show before I move, a schedule release. We'll see where we're at next week. I am moving. I'll just announce it. I'm moving to Arizona in less than a couple of weeks. So going back with family. So this may be the last show in Texas. I'm hoping we can squeeze one more in with the schedule release. We will see where we're at. Maybe Monday or Tuesday, but we'll see. If not, this will be the last show from Texas, but not the last show of Fun Football Podcast. I'm going to take a little break, but I'll be back in, if we don't have a show next week, you'll see shorts all the time, but I'll be back in July. Got a dynasty draft, and we'll be back full go next season. We'll be back probably Wednesday nights, but we'll be back, and I'm very excited. We're going to have a fun fall. We're going to do our Packer Bear banter, but we'll have some awesome guests. I think Med's going to be full-time, and we're going to have a great time. I'm excited. I love that he's joining the show. And Mike, this was a blast, man. I love doing these with you. If we could squeeze one more in August before the season starts, we probably need to do edge rushers, but these decade ones are fun. I think we should do another one of these next year. Maybe 80s or 2000s would be fun.
Do either one.
I think we could just knock them out. Do a couple next year. That'd be cool. But Mike, thank you for hopping on, man. We appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for watching. You've made the show a blast. I appreciate you guys. You got Mike and Med. You guys brought your homework, and those lists were awesome. Appreciate you guys.
I just brought a list. I didn't write anything down.
I typed it up as we went because you know what was happening. I was doing family stuff before. So, but everybody for watching, I appreciate you guys. Peter, you rock. I know you're not here anymore. Janae, you're the best. Pitch, I know you left before they mentioned the Chiefs guys. So Derek Thomas got some love. You missed it. Just kidding. I'm messing with you. Catch up with Cody. Thank you. Everybody else watching in the comments that didn't leave comments but texting. Appreciate you guys. We will see you again soon before or after this hiatus. Thank you to everybody.